This is the funkiest looking cooking appliance that I have ever reviewed. It looks like it's arrived from space, but is it everything that it says it is on the box? I'm going to show you its self-cleaning cycle in action, everything that I cooked in it, tell you how much energy it uses, and all about its pros and cons. So if you're looking for an air fryer that is free from forever chemicals, this Fritaire might look like a good bet because it claims to be Teflon-free, plastic-free, phthalate-free and BPA-free. But I know what you're thinking. Is it actually an air fryer? Because it looks an awful lot like a halogen oven. So a quick aside to explain the difference between the two if you don't know. Halogen ovens have been around for at least 30 years and look very similar to this generally. They cook using a thermostatically controlled halogen bulb, which turns on and off during cooking. Air fryers generally don't look like this, with the exception of the recently launched Ninja Crispy. And air fryers, of course, cook using a heating element. So with this one, on the box and on the product page, it says that it's an air fryer. When you read the description, it talks about how it delivers perfect air frying powered by a 1500 watt halogen heater. If you look inside the lid of the appliance, you can actually see that it's got a heating element and a very small bulb, and the light doesn't turn on and off during cooking. I emailed the manufacturers to try and get some clarity, and they said to me that it's classed as an air fryer but is heated by halogen, which I think is a little bit confusing. So rather than getting drawn into a very long argument, in this video I'm going to refer to it as an oven, and then you can let me know your thoughts about what it is in the comments. Now, talking of which, very excitingly, this video is my first of a new series of monthly supporters videos, which means that this appliance was chosen by one of my supporters on Patreon and YouTube. If you want to get involved with suggesting and voting for one of the appliances that I buy and review every month and getting early access to videos, details are in the description explaining how you can do that for less than £1 or the equivalent in your local currency. So back to this oven. It's sold in 4 colours in the UK and 6 in the US. I love the look of it. I think it's brilliant. It looks amazing when it's lit up, and I've said for a while that what we've really been missing is a bit more variation in the colours of air fryers that are on sale. So I was quite excited about seeing whether this would actually do the job. It comes with a range of stainless steel accessories. There's an air stand, which is for dehydration, cooking crispy snacks and reheating bakery items. Then there's a French tumbler, which is recommended for fries, nuggets, or anything that needs all-round crispiness. There's a grabber to help lift the tumbler out, and a rotisserie for meat, fish, or vegetables. The tumbler and the rotisserie are powered by a separate battery-powered motor which fixes onto the side and is turned on separately. The batteries aren't included in the box, and because it's battery-powered, there then is the possibility that the batteries may run out midway through cooking, which is going to mean faffing around trying to remove the motor next to the hot glass bowl and replace the batteries. So the main oven is made up of a 4.8 litre glass bowl with a plastic base and handles which don't detach, and a top half where the heating element and motor is. The first thing to point out with this type of design is that the top is of course the heaviest part, and it needs to be lifted off every time you want to take food in or out or to turn the food. It's got some tiny little legs on it, but even so I didn't feel confident placing it on the worktop with the heating element facing down just after I've been using it. So when I took it off, I either put it on the hob or I turned it upside down with the heating elements facing up. But then of course that has its own problems because you're exposing the hottest part of the oven to anyone else who's in the kitchen. Now, talking of which, the whole appliance does get pretty hot. I tried and failed to get a temperature reading off the outside of the glass, but you can see even the handles and the base get pretty warm, which also means it's going to be wasting quite a bit of energy with all of the heat that's escaping. For cooking, there are 6 functions pre-configured with suggested times and temperatures. They are French fries, steak, seafood, chicken, bake and dehydrate. And you can set it for between 1 and 60 minutes with a maximum temperature of 200 Celsius and a minimum of 30. But be warned, it really struggles to reach the temperatures that it quotes. I set it for 200 Celsius and after 10 minutes, my oven thermometer was reading 165 Celsius. I put the lid back on and set it for an additional 20 minutes, after which time it had reached just over 170 Celsius. Compare that to the Ninja and the Cosori dual drawers, which will both reach about 200 Celsius in under 5 minutes, which is the performance that you should expect from a proper air fryer. So in a moment, I'm going to show you how this oven cooks and the very cool self-cleaning cycle in action. But before I do that, if you're new to this channel, I make videos that help you choose and use your home appliances, particularly concentrating on UK and EU models, which no one else does. So if you'd like to be able to find this channel again easily, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell. So let's have a look at cooking in this oven. The heat on this model is directly from above and it doesn't have a strong fan, which is noticeable because it's incredibly quiet when it's running, registering a maximum of 52 dB on my decibel meter compared to about 70 on a standard air fryer. Because of that lack of fan speed, it cooks more like a grill than an oven. And if you aren't using the tumbler or rotisserie, you need to turn your food regularly, otherwise the bottom won't cook at all. However, even when you do turn your food, results with the air stand aren't great. I turned this frozen pan au chocolat halfway through what would have been normal cooking time, but the outside was already burnt and the inside, when it was finished, was underdone. There's also no way that you can bake bread, cakes or pasta bakes in this oven because the top will burn way before the middle is cooked. Results were better, as you would expect, with the tumbler, with no burning and more even colour. But these potatoes took twice as long as they would have done in an air fryer. I also tried the rotisserie. It took about 30 minutes for these chicken thighs to cook through, which again is longer than they would have taken in an air fryer. And then we come to cleaning. All the accessories are stainless steel, but that means that food, of course, can stick to them. You can see that with these potatoes that started sticking quite early in the cooking process. And cleaning the basket afterwards was a nightmare, particularly because the manufacturers say in the instructions that you shouldn't leave the accessories to soak or even leave them to air dry once they've been washed. But of course, it does have a self-cleaning cycle. To use that, you add 1 to 2 inches of water and a small amount of dishwashing liquid. Put the top back on and run it for 10 minutes at 200 Celsius. The results of this were actually much better than I was expecting. The cycle did a really good job, although you do have to remember to ensure the motor is removed and the bung back in place or the water will leak out of the side. Afterwards, all the bowl needed was a quick wipe and it was spotless again. Energy-wise, this oven used 0.157 kilowatt hours running at 200 Celsius for 10 minutes. Less than the equivalent size Ninja AF160. But remember, it didn't actually reach anywhere near 200 Celsius during that time. So despite this oven's very funky looks and surprisingly efficient cleaning cycle, it was in the end a little bit of a disappointment. Lifting the heavy lid to access the food is cumbersome and I think impractical, and none of the cooking results were actually fast or particularly good. If you're still searching for an air fryer that is free of non-stick coatings, there's a link to the playlist of all the reviews that I have done of that type of air fryer popping up on the screen now, and please don't forget to subscribe as well.